Chapter 1 of 4. I doubt if you will find either profit or pleasure in reading this incident of my third voyage up the Nile. It is really not worth reading. I have written it down merely for a few friends who know something of the facts, and also to escape the annoyance of having to tell it over as one of the features of my 4 years' travel in the Orient. But to begin. Wearying of the Levant, I was resting a time in Rome, when I was formally invited, as well as specially urged, to witness the marriage ceremony between the Grand Duchess Alexandria and the Duke of Edinburgh. Let us pass over these wasteful follies, the waste of time, the waste of sense, of soul. I have only mentioned the reason for my presence in St. Petersburg, have only mentioned the fact of my being there, because I saw a face in that gathering of people that could not be forgotten. It was the face of a tall, dark, and serenely silent Dolores, a young woman who had surely met and made the acquaintance of sorrow early in the morning of life. I sometimes wonder if I could ever have known or cared to know anyone who had not sorrowed deeply. And yet I now know very well that, in whatever guise that woman could have come, there could have been no two roads for us from the day of her coming to the day of her going. Let me be a little confidential right here. I knew, I had always known, I should meet this woman. I had waited for her, worked hard, built up the battlements and the fortress of my soul so that I might receive her into it, and defend her well against my baser self when she should come. And now tell me, have you never had a thought, a conviction like this? A certainty in your own heart that your other and better self would come to you complete and entire some day, soon or late, so soon as you might have the fortress ready? The doctors said she was dying. She had been trying to stand between the Tsar and the Jews. She may not have been of that peculiar people, but I think she had the money of Rothschilds and Sir Moses Montefiore behind her. There had been attempts at assassination, followed by executions. Some of the condemned were women. It was as if this woman herself had been condemned to death. I think she suffered more than all the others put together. She was so very, very sensitive to the pain and sorrow of others. There are souls like that. But there is a good God. The soul that suffers keenly can and shall enjoy keenly. You can, if you care to persist in it, make yourself, as the centuries wheel past, more than an entire nation in this. We had common ground to work on in the cause of the condemned people. It was on this ground that we first met, as two swift streams that flow in the same direction and so finally unite forever. All that could be done was done. Speedily, for the law's delay, whatever else must be laid to the door of Russia, is not one of her sins. As summer took flight we went south with the birds. For she surely felt that she was dying. Besides, she had been impressed with the idea of restoring Jerusalem and having this homeless race re-established in the Holy City. Her religion? I think it was all religions. I saw her kneel in the Kremlin at Moscow, cross herself in St. Peter's at Rome, and bend low at prayer in the synagogue at Alexandria. I think she would have done the same in a mosque. As stated before, I had, previous to meeting her, been all over Syria. And so, whenever she referred to her cherished idea, as she so often did, of forming Jewish settlements in and about Jerusalem and restoring Israel, I took occasion to explain how impossible and impractical it all was. I remember telling her how that in a whole day's ride from Babylon toward Jerusalem I had seen no living thing save a single grasshopper. I explained to her that the path of civilization had been in the track of the setting sun ever since the dawn of history, and that it was not in the power of man to reverse this course. I attempted to show that the tide of population would pour upon the salubrious and fertile shores of the farthest west till the heart of civilization would beat right there. I explained to her that wherever the great strong heart of commerce beat strongest, there would be found the strongest and best of these people whom she hoped to help, while the weak and helpless of that race would remain stranded by the waters of the Levant, as in Russia now. Why not, then, let us anticipate this and build the city of refuge by your great sea in the path of this civilization which you say will so surely come. Like the golden doors of dawn was the great earnest idea to me as she spoke. But of course I know, as I said before, that the peculiar people could not be induced to brave the desert. They do not seek rest, but action. Employment in the marts. They would rest but a single night even by the sweet waters of Jacob's well.